Happening now, new developments in the investigation into the Nashville school shooting. Police released body camera video showing the moments officers entered the school and took down the shooter. What we're learning about the shooter's background and the new information we're learning about the victims of the shooting and their deep ties to the community.
Also happening now, tensions between the U.S. and Israel are reaching a new level. President Biden says he will not invite Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House. All of this over the leader's plans to overhaul Israel's judicial system, sparking days of intense protests. We're in Tel Aviv with the latest on the unrest and what it means for U.S. relations.
And new this morning, a major change could be coming for millions of Americans who use birth control. Why people could soon get their birth control pills without a prescription. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers, and I'm very happy to be back here.
Yep, so glad to see you. And I'm Stephen Romo, in for Joe Fryer this morning. And there is a lot to get to, but we do want to begin with the latest out of Nashville. Newly released body camera video captured the moment police officers grabbed their weapons and rushed into that school. The video shows officers running toward the danger, toward those gunshots, clearing classrooms and following those sounds before finally being able to take down that heavily armed shooter, who police say was former student Audrey Hale. Police say Hale's parents were not aware that Hale was currently in possession of any guns or hiding them in their home.
She was under care, doctor's care, for an emotional disorder. Law enforcement knew nothing about the treatment she was receiving, but her parents felt that she should not own weapons.
Well, despite that, Hale was still able to legally purchase 7 weapons, 3 of which were used in that attack. NBC News correspondent Katie Beck is in Nashville this morning with the latest.
Outside Covenant School this morning, a growing memorial for the 6 victims. Investigators revealing new details about shooter Audrey Hale, who they say had even more weapons than the 3 guns that were brought to the school on Monday. We're also getting a closer look at that swift police response from body cam video showing the fact that they took down the shooter just 11 minutes from the first phone call. Analysts say this was a textbook case of good policing and following all of the protocols and training for school shootings. Now, we have also heard from the police chief yesterday during a press conference that they have spoken to Hale's parents, who believed Hale did not own a gun and was suffering from an emotional disorder. We have learned that even if it was known Hale was unstable prior to this shooting, Tennessee police could not have confiscated guns because there are no red flag laws on the books here in Tennessee, a state that has consistently weakened its gun laws. President Biden again weighing in, saying he's done all he can in terms of executive action. All he can do now is lean on Congress to make a change. We're hoping to hear more from investigators today about a potential motive and any latest developments in the case. Back to you.
All right, Katie, thank you.
Well, the grand jury considering potential criminal charges against former President Trump here in New York is not expected to vote on a potential indictment this week. That's according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. The investigation is looking into an alleged hush money payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. The former president denies all wrongdoing. It's unclear when the jury will reconvene specifically to discuss this case.
Meanwhile, a federal judge has ordered former Vice President Mike Pence to comply with a subpoena in the investigation into Trump's alleged election meddling in 2020.
Yeah, totally different investigation here. This is according to a source familiar with that decision. Now, the subpoena was initially issued actually back in early February. For the latest, we're joined by NBC's Garrett Haig on this. Hey, Garrett, good morning. And Garrett, who's home back in Washington, D.C., good to see you on your own turf. Walk us through the judge's decision here and how this ruling also relates to the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, that connection there.
Yeah, the judge ruled in this case that 2 different privileges that the former vice president had tried to assert wouldn't protect him from testifying. First, the idea that he would be protected by executive privilege was thrown out, along with other senior Trump aides. Of course, this was the privilege that Donald Trump had put forward, saying Mike Pence can't testify because of his close conversations with me. The judge says, no, that won't apply here. He's got to testify based on that. There was sort of a partial win for both sides here on this other question of whether the former vice president would be protected by the speech or debate clause of the Constitution. Pence had argued in kind of a novel legal theory that because he was acting as president of the Senate on January 6th, the same protections that apply to members of Congress should apply to him. The judge said, yeah, sort of, and basically told Pence he's got to show up, he's got to answer questions. They can litigate whether specific questions might be protected by privilege, but the bottom line is he's going to have to comply with this subpoena and testify before the grand jury.
And how is Pence reacting to that court's decision? You mentioned the partial victory he's celebrating, but what's his other reaction?
Yeah, that's right. Pence has painted this as a victory, saying that he's glad that the court agrees with his legal interpretation here. But what he's going to do after that is still a bit of an open question. He hasn't said one way or the other whether he might appeal this ruling or whether he's actually going to show up and testify without further legal action. Look, Mike Pence is not Donald Trump here. He's not someone who has the same kind of history of litigating things to the nth degree, nor does he have the personal resources to do so. So he's appearing at some campaign in quotes stops today, later in Iowa. I suspect we will hear more from him on this topic, perhaps as soon as today.
And Garrett, another topic, when do you think, is there a possibility we're going to hear very quickly on a potential announcement on 2024 from him?
Yeah, look, I think we'll be able to drop the air quotes around campaign probably within the next couple of months. Pence indicated in an interview last night that he thinks he'll have a decision made before the end of spring. Guys, I was in New York yesterday, back in D.C. It's been warming up. I think we're pretty close to spring being sprung and Pence having to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah, my allergies certainly think it's spring. Well, Garrett Haake, thank you very much.
You got it.
All right, heading now to Mississippi, where the recovery from Friday's deadly tornadoes continues. Residents are returning to where their homes once stood to sort through all of that wreckage. They're still dealing with the physical and, of course, the mental trauma from that day as they relive the scary moment when the tornado hit.
And all of a sudden, our house went boom, blew up. Debris was flying around me, and none of it ever touched me. And that house was destroyed.
Harrowing stuff there. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Rolling Fork. Maggie, you've been speaking with those storm victims in that area this week. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that they're telling you about, aside from the very obvious of having their homes destroyed?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with the very obvious there, though. The main challenge is just getting a roof over their heads and getting a plan kind of in place for the foreseeable future, especially while home repairs are underway, and that process could indeed last months. A lot of people anticipating. So we spoke to one woman in particular, for instance, who says that she's in a hotel room being paid for with a government voucher. She got that voucher from a local official. The hotel is about 30 miles outside of town. The voucher is basically good through the weekend. After that, she has no idea where she'll go. Take a listen.
After next week, the spotlight will be gone, and it's time to start picking up what's left. I'm praying that our elected officials do what is necessary for us, long term, not just for the moment, but next month, the month after. Help us pick up the pieces.
And a lot of people afraid of that very same thing, that when the spotlight goes away, when the cameras pack up and leave, that a lot of the help, or at least the urgency behind it, will cease as well. Also, I should note the man that you had at the top of the segment, Stephen, who recounted the moments the tornado hit, he told us he's applied for a FEMA trailer. He was told he'll have to wait 7 to 10 days just to get an answer as to whether or not a trailer is headed his way, Stephen.
Wow, so many people struggling through this situation, Maggie. We know President Biden says he'll visit Mississippi to take a look at the damage himself. Do we know anything else about his visit?
Right. That answer, that detail came during kind of a mass interview with a scrum of reporters yesterday. A reporter asked him, you know, your thoughts basically on Mississippi. Will you visit Mississippi after the tornado? And he said he will. We don't know exactly what day he's planning to come or what city or town he plans to visit. This is kind of the hub of the damage, obviously, here in Rolling Fork, so it would make sense that he would come here. But this comes after the president issued a disaster declaration here for Mississippi to free up that federal relief money that we've been talking about, kind of the muscle behind the FEMA efforts. And again, a lot of people nervous that that help actually won't come to fruition or won't come to fruition quickly. So hopefully this may instill some confidence in that process. But we'll wait on those details about the president's visit, Stephen.
Yeah, this aid is so theoretical to so many people, but it is very real for the people who are struggling with this right now. Maggie Vespa, thanks so much.
Now, let's stay on all this type of information and get a check on your morning news now weather.
Yeah, meteorologist Angie Lastman is here with the forecast, talking about some further threats, Angie.
Yeah, and through the next couple of days, it's not just a today kind of thing. It's going to be one of those couple of days where we stay connected when it comes to weather, with the potential for some severe weather. And it's all thanks to this system that right now is impacting California and the West Coast. We have plenty of moisture working on shore, bringing, of course, those alerts for many people, but also the additional snow, rain over the next couple of days, not to mention some additional strong winds that could lead to some power outages across the area. Another couple of inches possible for central and even southern California over the next day or so. We'll see impressive rainfall rates up to a ½ an inch per hour. So the flooding concern will be there on what we know is already saturated grounds. It's been kind of more of the same over the past couple of days of what we dealt with all winter long. And it comes with the winds as well. Those winds in places like Las Vegas up to 37 miles per hour, Cedar City up to 38 miles per hour. We'll see some additional rainfall here as we get into the later parts of today as well, with up to an inch of rain possible and more snow, of course. The Sierra Range could pick up another maybe 6 to 9 inches. We'll see some of the Rockies pick up about the same amount. We could see up to about a foot in some spots. So maybe a little difficult when it comes to travel. But when we look ahead to not just today and into tonight, we'll also see some of those impacts spreading to the east as this system regains some strength as it moves to the east of the Rockies. We'll add some wintry weather into the mix here for folks from basically Fargo to Marquette and down into Detroit, Chicago. We'll see some of that rain working through, and heavy rain at that. But we're also going to see the potential for some strong storms. This is a day where you're going to want to make sure that you have that tornado or severe weather plan in place for you and your family. If you live basically anywhere from the Mississippi Valley into the Midwest, that's where we see the bullseye for some of these stronger storms to be possible here. We're going to end up with the potential for some strong wind gusts, maybe 75 miles per hour or higher. We also will see the potential for several tornadoes. This is the ingredients are really all there, from Shreveport up into Des Moines, out towards Chicago, Indianapolis, Lexington, Nashville, all included in this. And it also comes with the potential for some damaging hail and the heavy rain. We'll see ample amounts of moisture working through. This system has it with it. So we'll watch for the flooding concerns too. And it's not done there. Once we get into Saturday, we'll see it continue moving to the east. Still snow draped across parts of the Great Lakes. If you live in Detroit, Chicago, you could see that kind of wintry mix impacting your Saturday plans. But even the Northeast and New England will start to see some of that rain working in. And this will be something we deal with through Saturday. So we'll watch for this finally to get out of the picture by the time we head into Sunday. But how about those temperatures? We're getting closer to spring. Doesn't feel like it in places in the high plains today. 22 degrees. We'll see temperatures in the teens in many spots, and not much better across the Northeast, where we're well below normal in places like Burlington, sitting 14 degrees below normal, ending up just into the mid-30s. But it's a roller coaster ride for many spots, because on Friday in St. Louis, it'll be 73 degrees. But don't get used to it, because on Saturday, it will be 53 degrees. Wow. Washington, D.C., same kind of thing. Upper 60s, guys, for Friday. Back to the mid-70s on Saturday, and 50s for Sunday. So we've got all the seasons in a couple days.
Yeah, exactly. 20-degree drop in St. Louis just in time for the weekend. Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Angie.
All right, turning now to Maryland, where an appellate court has reinstated the murder conviction of Adnan Syed. Syed's case gripped the nation after it became the subject of the Serial podcast. Syed served more than 2 decades in prison after being found guilty of killing his former high school girlfriend, Heyman Lee. In a decision Tuesday, the appellate court ruled that the lower court's decision to vacate that conviction violated the right of the victim's family to attend a critical hearing, and is now ordering a new hearing.
We'll certainly watch that. Well, financial regulators are set to testify on Capitol Hill again this morning. This is one day after facing the Senate Banking Committee over the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank.
Yeah, this time the House Financial Services Committee will grill the witnesses over the recent turmoil in the banking system. NBC News business and data reporter Brian Chung joins us now for more on this. So, Brian, what are we expecting to learn from these regulators about how the banking crisis was handled?
Yeah, well, this is day 2 of the Senate banking, or rather of the regulator hearings. And what we heard yesterday was that really the bleeding at the banks that went under over 2 weeks ago was way worse than originally thought. $42 billion exited Silicon Valley Bank on the Thursday before it failed. And there was some optimism among regulators and Silicon Valley Bank itself that it may have been able to survive. But then when it opened its doors on Friday, up to $100 billion were scheduled to go out the door. That could have drained the entire bank. That's the reason why the government had to go in. Now, when it comes to the regulatory response on that Sunday, where the government stepped in to guarantee all the depositors at both Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank, that has led to some contention on Capitol Hill, because the question is, well, if you guaranteed all the deposits at those two banks that failed, but everybody else only has that $250,000 limit, is that fair?
Brian, tell us a little bit more about highlights from yesterday. I know we're going to listen to some of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we heard from Michael Barr, who's the vice chairman of supervision at the Federal Reserve, he was saying that, look, the issues at Silicon Valley Bank appeared to be idiosyncratic, unique to them. Take a listen to what he said yesterday.
This is a textbook case of bank mismanagement. The risks the bank face, interest rate risk and liquidity risk, those are bread and butter banking issues. The firm was quite aware of those issues. They had been told by regulators. Investors were talking about problems with interest rate and liquidity risk.
Bread and butter issues, but apparently they couldn't even do that. But it does raise the question, though, how did regulators miss the fact that Silicon Valley Bank couldn't get the bread and butter right? That's an open question, and one reason why regulators are doing their own review, which they're expected to complete May 1st.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be more warning signs on this. All right, Brian, thanks so much.
Thank you. Now to Israel, where continued protests over reforms are now impacting U.S. relations. The country's turmoil is continuing even after Prime Minister Netanyahu paused a major overhaul to the judicial system that sparked these protests. Well, Netanyahu is now actually even clashing with President Biden over comments that Biden made about those changes. On this, we have NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel. He's joining us from Tel Aviv. Hey, Richard, good morning. So I want to give a little bit more context here and actually read a little bit of what Netanyahu tweeted. He said that he and Biden have known each other for over 40 years, but then went on to say that, quote, Israel is a sovereign country which makes its decisions by the will of the people and not based on pressure from abroad. And here's the big part, including from the best of friends. What do you think about this exchange between these two? How surprising is this?
It's not surprising at all, and it shows the politics that the Israeli prime minister is trying to negotiate. Obviously, the United States is and has long been a major supporter of Israel. Without the United States, Israel doesn't have as many friends in the world. It needs the United States, and the United States gets a lot out of its relationship with Israel. But the question now is, the politics are changing here. Netanyahu himself has formed a coalition. He was out of power. He still faces charges. He only came back 3 months ago at the head of this coalition that includes the far right. It includes religious conservatives. It is the most religiously conservative and far right nationalist government Israel has ever seen. And he's under pressure from his own government, because when you form a government here, like anywhere, you become beholden to them, to make good on the pledges that he made to other members of the government to support him, to join a coalition with him. And one of those big pledges is to overhaul the courts. The far right here is trying to gain more control over the courts, and that's why there have been demonstrations on the streets here, because people think that democracy is at risk, that their civil liberties at risk, and they turned out in force to protest that. The United States, President Biden saying, don't go down this road. It's not good for Israel. You're going to weaken your checks and balances. You're going to weaken the democracy. Now, of course, those same far-right parties, and they're holding a demonstration here in Tel Aviv tonight, are at the forefront of saying it's not the U.S. that tells us what to do. This is a domestic issue. Israel's a sovereign nation. We need to make decisions for ourselves. So I think that message today from that tweet was from Prime Minister Netanyahu, was directed at the U.S. to reflect the pressures that he's under, but also directed to his base that he's trying to hold together, to say that he won't be pushed around, even though he did agree to a pause on this judicial reform program.
And Richard, before I let you go, just give us the latest on what it's like on the ground there in Israel, the protests.
So the protests are paused. There is a demonstration tonight. This one from the far right, and there are more demonstrations from the oppositions of the opponents of the far right tomorrow and in the coming days. But it's gone back to a level that we saw a week ago, 2 weeks ago. There have been small ongoing demonstrations since Netanyahu returned to power 3 months ago at the head of this new, many are calling it extremist government. So things have calmed down. If you go around the streets of Tel Aviv, people are back. The airport is open. There was one period, about 24-hour period between Sunday and Monday, when things got very tense here, and there were hundreds of thousands on the streets. Now that has faded away, but the lingering conflict, inter-Israeli conflict remains.
Richard Engel, so important. Thank you for your reporting. Thanks so much. Now, you may be able to soon purchase birth control at your nearest pharmacy, as the FDA is set to meet to consider if a specific birth control pill can be sold over the counter. The one up for consideration is called O-pill, and as of now is only available if prescribed by a doctor. Well, if the decision is approved by the FDA, this would be the first birth control pill in the U.S. to be sold over the counter. Research from the CDC shows that 45% of all pregnancies in the United States are not planned. According to the American Medical Association, an over-the-counter option could increase access to contraceptives.
And this is pretty cool. Check this out. We're getting new images of a powerful explosion in space. Experts believe this is the bright gamma ray burst, the brightest that's ever happened. This was last October. Scientists say this cosmic phenomenon was 10 times brighter than any other. Even NASA's Swift team was nicknamed it the brightest of all times. This burst allows NASA to further study and collect data they normally wouldn't be able to. Experts believe an explosion like this will only happen once every 1,000 years.
Wow. Welcome back. We have new developments this morning as Mexican authorities are investigating that deadly fire that took place at a migrant holding center near the border yesterday.
Yeah, just horrific here. NBC News national correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is bringing us the latest.
Anguished screams of desperation from a woman searching for her husband after a fire tore through a government-run migrant holding center in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. You can see the flames in the corner of the screen of this surveillance video obtained by Telemundo as the room begins to fill with smoke. At least 39 people are dead, another 29 seriously injured at hospitals. They're mainly from Central America and Venezuela.
Que perdieron la vida.
Mexico's president says some of the migrants put small mattresses at the door of the facility and set them on fire in protest once they found out they'd be deported. But the blaze, he says, raged out of control. Relatives now saying some of the migrants had been rounded up from the streets of Juarez shortly before the fire, and that the men had been kept in cells while women and children had been released. Don't treat us like animals, this woman says.
It's right before dawn, and the conditions here are miserable.
We visited Juarez last year as huge groups of migrants tried to cross into the U.S. Just weeks ago, another stormed the International Bridge in neighboring El Paso, Texas. On Capitol Hill, the Homeland Security Secretary was pressed about his Border Patrol chief's recent acknowledgement that the U.S. did not have operational control of the southern border.
We are intensely focused on securing the border.
This year is already on pace to surpass last year's record number of illegal border crossings. As for that fire, the Mexican government now says it will pay for the injured migrants' medical bills. Back to you.
Heartbreaking. Gabe Gutierrez, thank you.
All right, let's take a look at what else is making headlines around the world this morning. North Korea has unveiled new nuclear warheads just as a U.S. air carrier arrived in the South.
NBC News correspondent Ali Aruzu joins us now on all this. Hey, Ali, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Stephen. That's right. North Korea has been flexing its military muscle again, unveiling new, smaller nuclear warheads. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited the Nuclear Weapons Institute, where he inspected weapons. North Korea has vowed to also produce more weapons-grade nuclear material to expand this arsenal. All of this as a U.S. aircraft carrier arrived in South Korea for military drills. The United States says that it is willing to discuss denuclearization, but North Korea has shown no desire. As President Biden prepares for a potential trip to Northern Ireland to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, authorities there have raised the terrorism threat level from substantial to severe, meaning that an attack is highly likely. The decision was made by MI5 security services because of increased activity related to Northern Ireland terrorism. The White House says that won't affect affect President Biden's plans. And finally, researchers in Australia have found evidence of a previously unknown marsupial that roamed the Earth some 25 million years ago. Described as a cross between a wombat and a marsupial lion, it's thought to have weighed about 110 pounds, and researchers say that the discovery sheds light on how modern-day marsupials evolved. And those are your international headlines.
Welcome back. We're taking a closer look now at a condition called PCOS. That stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, and it affects about 1 in 10 women worldwide. Now, a diagnosis like this can cause major changes to the body, and since there's no known cure, living with this condition can therefore be life-changing. Joining us now to shed a little more light on this condition is OBGYN and Chief Medical Officer at Verywell Health, Dr. Jessica Shepard. Dr. Shepard, good morning. I'm so happy we're having this conversation. Thank you for joining us. So break this down for us. What exactly is PCOS, and how does it impact the body? And more specifically, does it impact your fertility?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that looking at the actual name of the disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, can be quite misleading. And the reason why that is yes, it does impact the reproductive system when we think of women in their reproductive years. But what we're finding is actually that we're starting to see more of a metabolic issue and being linked to metabolic disorders such as insulin resistance, which can lead to things with your blood pressure, even your glucose tolerance. So when we look at it, there are a lot of women who may not know that they have PCOS, but it is looking at some of the other factors that are taking over some of the other parts of the body, including the metabolic system.
Absolutely. And I know, honestly, from some personal experience, how a lot of times when anything can sort of be off with you in a blood test or anything like this, sometimes this is something that is looked at. In fact, you can even be diagnosed as early as 11 or 12 years old. But then conversely, some women don't discover they have this until they're ready to have children. What is with the delay there? I mean, if this is something that affects so many women, is there a way that this can be diagnosed earlier? Are there initial symptoms to look out for, and maybe a woman can know and advocate for herself and ask her doctor?
And that's why when we look at PCOS, it's actually one of the most common causes of female infertility when we look at the reproductive age. So a lot of women may not know that they have this issue, like you mentioned before, until they are starting to try for children and conceive. But the issue is it's not just a diagnosis that you may see on one thing, it's a syndrome. And with syndromes, there are a lot of different factors in that. So looking at blood tests and also looking at menses, and sometimes the irregularity of menses can cause, again, for women to go to her doctor and have this conversation to decide, should we look more into the irregularity, looking into blood tests and possible ultrasound to see if PCOS can be on that differential diagnosis?
Absolutely. I mean, look, this can be kind of scary, I think, especially even just hearing the word syndrome. You know, it's not something a lot of people are used to hearing apply to them. What should women know if they were to get this diagnosis? What's the next step to taking care of yourself, your body, your mental health, all that? What's the big headline here on this about what to do next?
The big headline is that, yes, it does impact the reproductive system, but it does not mean that you cannot get pregnant. And I want to make sure that every woman hears that. You know, hearing a diagnosis sometimes make you think the worst of everything. But what we can do is give better tools, better lifestyle modifications, and also some medications that do help, again, looking at how we can revert some of those issues that cause the reproductive issues, and giving women hope that it's not just something that they thought was happening to them and no one was listening, but there is actual diagnosis, and also ways that we can help modify that, help people conceive, and better case scenario, giving them the lifestyle and quality of life in the long run.
And doctor, quickly before I let you go, is this something, if you have one of those symptoms that was listed there, any irregularities, those types of things, weight loss, hair loss, weight gain, is this something a woman should specifically ask her doctor about?
Yeah, I think when we look at it as from a physician standpoint, we want to hear all those symptoms together to give us the keys in looking into PCOS.
Absolutely. Dr. Shepard, thank you very much. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you for having this important conversation.
Thank you.
And sticking with health news now, if you suffer from seasonal allergies, you may have noticed that problem getting worse, and it's lasting a lot longer these days. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson explains why that's happening and how you may be able to breathe a bit easier.
These days, when Nicole Levin wears a mask, it's for pollen, not COVID. My asthma has gotten so much worse with the pollen, and it's starting earlier.
Allergy season that used to begin in late March now strikes Levin in February, forcing this New York teacher to double her allergy medicine, but it's not enough.
From work, I used to miss 1 to 2 days during the allergy season if my asthma was flaring, but now it's up to 3 to 5 days.
The suffering is nationwide. New government research shows pollen season starts 20 days earlier and lasts 10 days longer. Dr. Purvi Parikh is an allergist in New York City.
We know that climate change is making the allergy season longer, but is it also affecting the potency?
Absolutely. We're seeing much higher counts of the pollen and much earlier on.
There is 21% more pollen in the air than in 1990, fueled by carbon dioxide from man-made climate change.
As these CO2 levels increase, the plants are thriving even more so. And as a result, they're producing much higher levels of pollen than usual,
leading to more allergies, which can lead to more asthma. Asthma causes 11 deaths a day in the U.S. To combat allergies, Dr. Parikh recommends 24-hour antihistamines instead of decongestants. Over-the-counter nasal sprays and eye drops can help too. For Nicole Levin, preparation is everything.
If I didn't have a treatment plan, I wouldn't be able to function.
To survive a worsening allergy season on a changing planet. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
Whew, I am suffering from that currently, so that's good to hear I'm not alone. Well, the first ever trial against e-cigarette maker Juul Labs is underway in Minnesota. Could be the biggest fight so far for the company. The state is seeking more than $100 million in damages. And if they win, that amount could actually be even higher. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now with more on this. Hey, Danny, so the $100 million that I just mentioned in damages doesn't include civil penalties, which Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison says could put the final amount in the ballpark more of $7.1 billion. And that was actually a landmark settlement, that number, with the tobacco industry back in 1998. First, let's just talk about how realistic is that amount of money? Could it be anything like that?
Well, if that number was in 1998, that's $1998. So adjusting for inflation, it could be a lot more than that in theory. But here's the thing. It could also be a lot less. That's if the plaintiff here, the state of Minnesota, loses that trial. And it's not impossible to lose, because the defense here is essentially that, yes, they marketed to young people, but advertisers have always marketed to young people. That's what advertising is all about. It's about going for the demographic that spends a lot of money. That may be in the early 20s, but the reality is when you market to people in their early 20s, you're also marketing to kids who think it's cool to be a little bit older. So that is going to be Juul's defense here, that, no, we didn't target kids. It just so happened that kids got interested in this product, which arguably is something that happens to a lot of products that kids deem to be adult and therefore cool.
Danny, I mentioned just a second ago, this is the first ever trial that Juul is actually headed to, but this is not the first time a state has sued Juul. Walk us through what's happened up to this point and what makes this case different.
There's only one reason why in civil cases you go to trial, and that's because the parties are just too far apart on settlement. That means that on some level, Juul is offering something to the plaintiff, and the plaintiff is saying, no, we want more. And that's why you go to trial. But when you do that, you're rolling the dice. You're acquiring risk. You're doing something that the insurance carrier usually hates, because insurance carriers are usually the ones who pay these judgments and settlements, and they don't like risk. That's why a lot of cases prepare. You get to the courthouse steps on the eve of trial, and then they settle. So I'm not even ruling out that this case could still settle. It's a game of chicken, really, for the insurance company and the plaintiffs here.
So, Danny, Juul suspended all advertising in the United States back in 2019. Of course, what's in question here is, were they marketing to kids? Do you think the fact that this has been suspended for a while could help them in this case? Does that mean anything?
In a sense, it's a form of a post-accident repair type thing. In other words, if you do something wrong and then you fix it afterwards, normally we don't allow evidence of you fixing it, because that would discourage people from fixing it. But that may come in still under other rules of evidence. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that evidence here. But this is shaping up just like tobacco litigation did before. It's almost a do-over of the same themes and ideas that you saw in tobacco litigation in the 80s, the 90s. You see in the complaint, they actually position photographs of ads from Juul next to old photographs of cigarette ads.
Right.
And it's pretty surprising how similar they are.
Yeah, it is staggering to see. Danny Savalas, thank you very much. Welcome back. A charter school in Florida has ignited controversy over a photo of Michelangelo's David statue.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about this one. The principal of a Tallahassee school resigned following complaints from parents after a picture of the artwork was shown to a 6th grade class. NBC News correspondent Nyela Charles has more.
Michelangelo's classic David statue is the center of controversy in a Florida classroom. A private school principal in Florida resigned over it. According to the Tallahassee Democrat, she was ousted by angry parents after the Renaissance masterpiece was shown to 6th graders at Tallahassee Classical School, a charter school. The paper reporting Hope Karaskia resigned last week after the school gave her an ultimatum to quit or be fired after 3 parents complained, according to our affiliate. The school told the paper that other factors were involved in her departure as well. The move even catching the attention of the mayor of Florence, Italy, tweeting, "Mistaking art for pornography is just ridiculous," and invited the former principal to the city for recognition. Florida has had a wave of similar incidents, banning books and censoring teachers' curriculum since the state's Stop Woke law passed last year, restricting discussions of race, gender, and inequality.
We will fight the woke in the legislature. We will fight the woke in education. We will fight the woke in the businesses. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob.
Although the law only applies to public schools and universities, the state's largest teachers union worries the law has repercussions for private schools, too.
They feel the pressure to not be a target of the governor. We've seen books being pulled off of shelves because one person complains. And then we're seeing now even regarding art that we shouldn't allow certain pieces of art to be used in our schools as well.
Last week, the Florida Education Association filed a petition against Florida's Department of Education about a law that requires certified district employees to review all school books, arguing it upends Florida's public education system.
Books about Ruby Bridges have been banned. Books about Roberto Clemente have been taken off the shelves. Those are kinds of stories that kids need to have to relate to.
Again, that was Nyela Charles reporting there. And we did reach out to Hope Karaskia, who was the one who left the school, as well as the charter school yesterday, but we have not heard back yet.
More to come on that one. Meanwhile, new this morning, more allegations of misconduct against fallen cryptocurrency mogul Sam Bankman-Fried.
According to a newly unsealed indictment, Bankman-Fried bribed at least one Chinese government official with a $40 million payment back in 2021. Now, NBC News has reached out to Sam Bankman-Fried for comment, but a spokesperson representing him declined to comment.
Fortune Magazine's Leo Schwartz joins us now for more on this. Good morning, Leo. Thanks for being here. So what do we know about these allegations so far and Bankman-Fried's latest charges?
So yesterday, U.S. prosecutors unsealed a new charge against Bankman-Fried for allegedly bribing a Chinese official for $40 million to unfreeze accounts associated with his trading firm Alameda, likely while the firm was still based in China. This is now the 13th count brought against Sam Bankman-Fried since his original indictment in December.
So everybody remembers, SBF, as he's called, because of this totally catastrophic collapse of his crypto exchange, especially at a time when everybody was talking about crypto, getting into crypto. But these particular allegations about the bribery, they go back to 2021. So do we have any idea whether this is just coming out now and whether this latest charge is going to have any impact on those other charges he's facing related to the collapse of FTX?
Definitely. So prosecutors have been looking into the unraveling case since November when FTX spectacularly collapsed. We saw the initial charges in December, but they've continued to build their case against the FTX founder. We saw new counts in February, and now obviously this additional 13th count in February, or now in March. So it seems that prosecutors are continuing to build the case.
Wow, quite the downfall already. So do we know what's next for Bankman-Fried? What's he up to currently?
So right now he's at his parents' home in Palo Alto, where he's under bail. Prosecutors just reached an agreement with his lawyers on what his bail would look like, including no longer having access to most internet services. He's actually going to be expected in New York tomorrow for an arraignment hearing for these new charges, including the ones filed in February. And then his trial is still expected in October.
Wow. A lot of developments there.
Yeah, we'll see if he stays off the internet. Also, I know that's been part of this conversation as well.
Yeah, fascinating twist there. Leo Schwartz, thanks so much.
Thank you. And now let's get to some other financial headlines this morning. Apple is throwing its hat into the pay later ring.
Interesting stuff. Silvana Henao joins us with that and more money news. Good morning, Silvana.
Steve and Savannah, good morning to you. That's right. So Apple launches its buy now, pay later service. It's a move that could disrupt the sector that's dominated by the likes of Affirm and Klarna. Apple Pay Later lets users split purchases into 4 payments spread over 6 weeks with no interest or fees. You can apply for loans between $50 and $1,000, which can be used for online and in-app purchases made on an iPhone or iPad with merchants that accept Apple Pay. Shares of AMC popping yesterday on a report Amazon is considering whether to buy the theater chain. But analysts say not so fast. Wedbush says it's unlikely Amazon would buy AMC because it doesn't need 10,000 movie screens to get into the theater business. The firm says Amazon would be better off buying part of Cineworld. That's the parent company of Regal Cinemas, which filed for bankruptcy last year. And Pepsi is getting a makeover. The soft drink is updating its logo ahead of its 125th anniversary. The logo replaces the one used since 2008 and has a bold Pepsi centered in a circle over red, white, and blue stripes. Pepsi will start using the new logo this fall on electric blue and black cans and in promotions, guys.
I like it.
There you go.
Intense.
Yeah,
It looks cool,
pretty cool.
But I'm a Coke person all the
Same.
way. And yes, I can totally tell the difference.
It's nice, but I like Coke better. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you're at a restaurant, you order a Coke and it comes, it's Pepsi, and you're like, you should have told me.
Right. They need to disclose
yes.
that.
Yeah. Whenever they say, do you like Pepsi? I'm like, no.
I'm like, water,
No.
please.
Pepsi instead?
Yeah. Give me the water.
Not so much.
Silvana, thank you very much.
You got it.
We're back now with another Jeremy Renner update. The Avengers star seems to be hard at work on his recovery. Earlier this week, he shared a first look of him walking with the help of that anti-gravity treadmill nearly 3 months after his snowplow accident. We now hear he's planning to attend the premiere of his Disney Plus reality series, Renovations. That 4-part series follows Renner around the world as he rebuilds vehicles to meet the needs of different communities. That screening is set for April 11th at the Regency Village Theater. So great to see him doing so well, Savannah. That accident was pretty rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's so interesting that reality shows kind of related to, you know, obviously the incident happened with a snowplow, but we know how much he loves being in that area and that he was helping somebody else out. So it's pretty cool to see. Great to see him back up. Thanks, Stephen. While college basketball fans may be watching the Final Four this weekend, players, some of them, are watching Washington. Get this, it's because many of these student athletes use TikTok to make money. And if the government were to ban the app, their income will also go away, same with so many other creators on the app. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has more.
Oh my God. In the complex world that is name, image, and likeness.
Starting with this shoot through mount, love it.
Elite gymnast Leah Clapper at the University of Florida has spent years trying to get it down to a science.
I feel like I have 3 full-time jobs because I'm a student, I'm an athlete, and I'm an entrepreneur.
One of many college athletes learning to become a businesswoman and brand manager on the fly, Clapper has made the most of her time.
Graduating summa cum laude with my bachelor's in advertising.
Getting her bachelor's degree in 3 years, and now a master's in entrepreneurship, critical for navigating NIL.
In summer 2021, I wanted to take advantage of new NIL opportunities, but had no idea where to begin.
She's cultivated tens of thousands of followers on social media, but Clapper says her top option for promoting content by far is TikTok.
Tomorrow, if TikTok goes away, what does that mean for you?
That means I could lose a huge portion of my audience. Approximately half of my NIL revenue comes from TikTok.
This begs the question, what's the bottom line for athletes who use platforms like TikTok to get sponsorships if the federal government does take action? Lawmakers across the aisle and President Biden have threatened to pull the plug on TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance.
Has ByteDance spied on American citizens?
I don't think that spying is the right way to describe it.
TikTok has more than 150 million users domestically, with concerns centered around both privacy and national security. But Michael McMahon with the University of New Hampshire Law School says athletes might have a legal case to make about a possible ban infringing upon a protected form of free speech.
Some may see TikTok as their primary way of delivering content, and for them, a ban would be at a minimum disruptive and maybe cost them some real money.
Speaking of big bucks, it's different for every athlete. That rare upper echelon of earners, like Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, who's about to be drafted into the NFL, or Miami basketball social media standouts, the Cavender twins, who've amassed about 6 million followers between TikTok and Instagram, may be more protected from change, but there's still displacement.
How would that impact you guys?
I would say, obviously, like, that is a huge following for us, but Haley and I have saved a lot of our money, and honestly, at the end of the day, like, when I'm 25, I'm not gonna, try to go find Haley to make TikTok dances. I think TikTok's hot, so anyone's trying to take advantage of it. If it goes, it goes. I think that there'll be another app or something.
For student athletes like Clapper, each post on TikTok could mean thousands, and while she's ready to pivot, there could be a bumpy ride ahead with the harsh reality to digest.
All of these creators that are making their livelihoods from TikTok are kind of left in the dust if they haven't built up followings on other platforms. And it really goes to show that you don't own your audience on social media. The social media platforms do.
That is a very good point. Well, our thanks to Sam Brock for that story. Now, the athletes he interviewed say they prefer TikTok because of not only the number of users, but also the algorithm is better targeted to their audience. It's really such a big and interesting conversation. Steve and I was on Capitol Hill last week for the TikTok hearing. So were a lot of TikTok creators. So many of them, even if you take it out of this name, image, and likeness conversation, right, it is their income. They have quit all other jobs. And if the app were to go away, it's a lot of people that would essentially need to find a totally new stream of revenue.
For sure, some of the many ramifications to this that we're just now starting to get a good look at.
Yeah, and I asked that question, could you just move, to Instagram? And they're like, it's the algorithm on TikTok.
The algorithm, it's powerful. Yeah, it knows I love some dog videos. Yeah, that's for exactly. Sure. All right, well, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.